Hey everybody, welcome to the DW Plays video. This time we're taking a look at Ghosts and Goblins. And the reason this is a DW Plays video and not an MTO or a review or anything like that is because I've never made it past the second level of this game, and I probably never will. Feel free to throw your DW sucks at games in the comments, because honestly I don't care. This is Ghosts and Goblins. It is pretty much legendary for its difficulty, and not in a good way. It is generally considered to be one of the most difficult games on the NES. And I would not own a copy of it were it not for my NES Classic Edition, because this is not the kind of game I would go out of my way to get. Because I do not like platformers very much to begin with, and I certainly don't like the BS difficult ones. Arcade games were kind of meant to be that way back then. I mean, this is an adaptation of an arcade game. They were all BS difficult back then. Because they kind of had to be. They wanted to make as much money out of the player as possible. And this was one of the ways they could do that. Just make the game ridiculously difficult, so that the player will get frustrated and keep spending as many quarters as they have to keep going, because they won't want the game to beat them. In my particular case, I don't like this genre in general, so a BS difficult platformer does basically nothing for me. So we're going to go about as far as I can manage here, and we'll see what happens. And sometimes things like that happen, where I misjudge the hitboxes, and the controls like to throw a curveball at me because they're not exactly the most responsive. They're not bad, but they are a bit stiff here and there. And you don't have a whole lot of control over Arthur here. Now what I really want to be using right now is the knife, because it lets you throw a lot of them on screen. But of course the game's not going to give me one. And those things are incredibly annoying, too, both from the noise they make and the fact that they tend to throw those tridents at you, or not tridents, sorry, forks. That's what they are. Like that. And they just arbitrarily decide to do that. Okay, I took care of him this time. A lot of times that boss will give me trouble because he tends to rush you. Yeah, this is about as far as I've ever made it in this game, is just this bit of the second level here. It's, I figured this was appropriate for the Halloween season because of all the imagery and such that's in this game. And I mean, I'll be fair, that tune is really catchy. Until you realize that's the only thing that's going to play the entire time. And then, of course, why not? One thing I have noticed that's really annoying, too, is that the hitboxes are a bit off in a lot of cases. You'll get hit because they're actually squared off hitboxes instead of more pixel accurate ones. So you'll get hit when you didn't really feel like it was your fault, and that can be very frustrating. And then sometimes you'll try to jump, and it just won't jump properly. Even though, there's not a whole lot to mess up on that jump. I mean, as far as video games go, this is... Oh, why did I jump right into that? Ugh, this game. And we go flying. Right into the water. That's game over. I'm not going to play this thing anymore. I don't have any fun playing it. I just wanted to do at least a video on it, because it is one of those iconic NES games. Just, you kind of have to play this game if you play NES games. But I'm only going to start this thing to have the game doing something here in the background while I'm talking. But suffice to say, if you are looking to play Ghosts and Goblins, I would recommend against it unless you're an absolute masochist, because it's really not fun. There we go, pause again. It's really not fun to play. It is frustrating and punishingly difficult, basically because it's from a bygone era, and that doesn't really fly anymore. If you're nostalgic for it, that's one thing, but there's not going to be all that many people out there who are really nostalgic for this particular game. And if you're in a situation where somebody's like, oh yeah, you're not a real gamer unless you beat Ghosts and Goblins, just ignore them because they don't know what they're talking about. This is a brutally difficult game, sure. It's not the most difficult game out there or anything. I don't care to put in the amount of time that it would require to really go very far in this thing. I'm probably not going to do an MTO or a review on it ever. And I probably won't do that for the sequel, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, either. I'll probably do a DW Plays video on that as well. Maybe even in the same month here. It's still appropriate for the Halloween season, after all. But I get basically nothing out of this kind of game. I don't like platformers. I certainly don't like these old BS difficult ones. And when it comes to NES platformers in particular, about the only ones I can really get much out of are Castlevania 3, and that's kind of it. But that's beside the point. There you have it, folks. That was Ghosts and Goblins. And you're welcome to throw all the haha DW sucks at games and all that down in the comments. I'm just going to ignore it, though. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in later videos.